Well, hello there. This is Preacher Man Packer, Dog Hatfield. Got another story for you today on the YTPC. We have two fellas whose last name is Higgins. Yep. One is Cliff Higgins. You ought to check his channel out. He's a fine individual. You'll really enjoy him. And but now when you go to see him, uh, don't go to see him in his office, because you'll come out with less teeth than what you had. No, he's not going to knock them out. He's going to yank them out. Yep. He's one of them fellas who, when he sees you, he's looking not at your eyes. He's not looking at your hair. He's not looking at nothing but your teeth and going, see if there's not one or two there I can just zip right on out. Then there's another Higgins on here. This fellow is Luntin Larry Higgins. And he loves to take strolls everywhere. I mean, he goes railroad hunting. He goes cemetery hunting. I mean, he goes everywhere. But he always has a good word for everybody. Everybody. Got a great word for everybody. And he always starts his videos out with, yeah, buddy. And always ends them with God bless. Well, the reason that I'm here today is because I knew some Higgins, and I do believe that they might have been kin, because Luntin Larry reminds me a lot of them, and they were people that was in my dad's church. Both of the Higgins boys got saved in my dad's church, surrendered to preach under my father, and went to the Baptist Bible College that my father was one of the founders of. And then they came back and started in the ministry. Now, the thing about this family was, one of them's name was Bill Higgins. That's it, Bill. Nothing else. Just Bill Higgins. The other one's name was Billy George Higgins. I guess they didn't want to have to, wander out too far to find a name, so they just kind of gave him the same one. Now, Billy George was the big old boy. Bill was the little feller. And Bill Jones went off to do really great things, and so did Billy George. Well, as you'll see, as I'm going along, you'll see a picture of the Texoma Baptist Youth Camp. That's pretty much where I was raised up. I learned to work there before I was 10 years old. But the thing was, as I became a teenager and, was a preacher's kid, there were times whenever we pulled a few little shenanigans, like during the youth camp, whenever all the preachers would go down to the lake and swim at night after all the services was over. Everybody was supposed to be in bed asleep. We would do things like put buckets above the doors with water in them, just in case that they might need to wash off when they got back. And then there was this one time. We had first let me tell you about another fellow. His name was Hoyt Lemon. Hoyt Lemon was an evangelist for many years and finally became a pastor and pastored the old church that my dad pastored before we moved from Oklahoma to Texas. Well, Hoyt Lemon was a tall, slender fellow. Slender. He could eat like a bull moose and not gain a pound. Slender. But he was funny as all get out. I mean, he could make you laugh in a second. And so when the youth camp started this particular year, Hoyt Lemon had a bunk on the bottom of these in the bunkhouse, and Billy George had a bunk on the top. Now, Billy George was the big fella. Well, one night, whenever the preachers went down to go swimming, me and 2 or 3 others decided we'd play a little joke. So we went over there to Billy George's bunk, and we started taking every other little spring that held the springs to hold the mattress. We took every other little spring out on both sides of the bed. Whenever they come back from the swimming hole, they all went in, took showers, and they got cleaned up and all this stuff and got ready for bed. Hoyt Lemon, of course, he was in his bed first, and he was just laying there, just as about ready to doze off. And about that time, here come Billy George. Old Billy George climbed up in that bed, and whenever he did, I mean, he sunk like a lead balloon. He come down like this, and boy, whenever he did, he just barely touched old Hoyt. Old Hoyt Lemon woke up, his eyes were about as big around as a flying saucer. He started screaming, "Oh, Jesus has got me, oh, Jesus has got me. Oh, man, I'm a dead man, I'm a dead man, I'm a dead man." And old Billy George is just bouncing, just like it, trying to get out of the bed, can't get out of the bed. Over and over he kept going, and finally several of them got up there and got a hold of him and got him stopped from bouncing. And they got Hoyt out from under there, and Hoyt says, "Bless God, I'll never be on a bottom bunk the rest of my life. I'm going to tell you right now, especially under old Billy George Higgins." And they got old Billy George out of there, and the first thing that guy did, now why, I don't know. I mean, I was over there, I was in my bunk, minding my own business, and the first thing he did was holler, "J.D.!" And I just laid there. "I know it was you, I know it was you, I'll get you if it's the last thing I do." But he never did. But boy, you talk about a time. Now, we had a time in that youth camp. And I didn't do a whole lot of shenanigans, just a few little minute things like that. But now, old Billy George could preach. Now, he's a big old boy, but he could flat preach. And his daddy was a very godly man. He was an old man, and every now and then he always talked real slow. He'd say to me sometimes, he'd say, "J-Day, I just love that piano. I just love it." And every now and then, people regretted it, but every now and then my dad would say to him, "Brother Higgins, close the service in prayer." And old Brother Higgins, he'd begin, "Our Heavenly Father," and about 10 minutes later, he was done. The Higgins family was one of the finest families that you'd ever see in our church back then. But old Billy George, as long as I can remember, he never forgot what happened at that youth camp that night. Well, I wanted to do this in honor of the two Higgins boys in the YTPC. Pray God's blessings on both of you. Pray that God will supply all of your needs and take care of everything. Keep you safe while this coronavirus is going on. Now, me personally, I can't get that because I don't drink Corona beer. But anyway, you know, I just wanted to honor them with a funny story, but with a story of a family that was really sold out to God. So I'll leave you with that and pray the good Lord shower His grace upon you, and pray that the good Lord will help you and supply your every need, take care of every circumstance in your life. And, oh yeah, don't forget, tomorrow evening at 6 p.m., I'm going to do a live presentation to do the drawing for the golf. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. So y'all be there. Y'all be there to see who wins. You never know. So I'll bid you adieu and see you later. Bye-bye.